Sori.
And this is Evergrey Blinded. This is from The Call. The Call.
Welcome to the Alliances.
Yeah, okay, so the Core is an alliance, or one of the best alliances in the world. If you want to be part of Alliance, dear listener, all you have to do, once to get the Patreon, at Patreon gets you in. The reason we do alliances is because you will notice there was probably a horrible Joe Biden commercial or an equally horrible Trump commercial, and then you get a cut and Google gets a cut. Well, what happens is when you listen to the song all the way through, YouTube sends you this nifty little thing right here, and it says, hey, we're getting our money, but the record label's getting your money. So, we figured that at about 5,000 subscribers in, and by that point, we couldn't really change the format of the show.
We were so confused when we first started.
We couldn't change the format of the show because people were like, yo, keep it the way it is. So we figured we would use Patreon to offset that. So if you can swing $1, that's cool. You pull your points together, and that determines what song we do. So this is the Core Alliances. This is their song. And there you go. So for timely topical political commentary, you can hit me up in Middle America with Vin and Sori. We are doing Blinded from the band Evergrey. Let's go. Live. Make it better.
somebody just threw us out of the show. I don't like that feeling. Get out!
Get out! You've never had that feeling. Nobody's ever kicked you out of a show.
No, but like I felt like I was in a show, and then all of a sudden it's over.
I miss
we're back
going
in this room.
I miss
This
going to
dank room.
shows, man. I miss going to shows.
Yeah.
I miss that that 5-minute wait or the 15-minute wait between sets, and then they're tearing down, and the other guys.
The energy. I just like the energy.
And then the thing comes out, and everybody goes, yeah. You know, like when the big band finally comes on, it's like, man, there's no feeling like it, man. And it sucks not being able to go.
I know.
Like,
we're all feeling it.
Well, there's this band of crazy ass kids walking around the neighborhood, causing all these problems and shit. And like, I was telling you, I was like, these kids would be in school right now, but school doesn't start till the 14th.
But even when it does, they're only doing a couple days.
Yeah, so they don't know what to do with all that excess energy, man. They're
and it's like you said, it's obvious that parents are not parenting their kids. They're subbing it out to the schools.
Yeah.
So
they don't know what to do.
Say what you want about homeschooling, but you are required to care for your own children and making sure that they are respectable human beings. Otherwise, your life will be in hell.
Yeah.
Because you're not like, I'll go to school now.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I'm not saying that all parents send their kids to school.
At the same time, it's like I said, the parents are stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The parents have to deal with like evictions and their jobs and all this, and there's so much stress, and then on top of that, the kids are around, and it's like, get out of here, go outside.
Yeah, and I think that temporarily
people don't know what to do.
There was like a thing where you couldn't evict anyone because of COVID, but it's been going on now. So I think that some people were like, oh, we can't get evicted. And so they weren't as concerned about their finances as they normally are.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's catching up to them.
Yeah.
So
People can't work. People are getting worked. They're having a really hard time. People are having a very, very hard time.
This band sounded like church mixing with metal.
Huh?
The sound
I didn't get that vibe at all, bro.
Yeah, but you didn't think the other one sounded like Ghost either. It absolutely is.
I'm not
I don't know what type of worship services you've been around.
I'm not shaming.
I absolutely thought it sounded like it.
No.
Yep, you're wrong. I'm right. Look, you thought that guy had a filter on his voice, and you were wrong.
A filter? Is that what you call a filter?
You knew what I was talking
filter?
about, but you have to mock my words because you were wrong.
A filter?
You know what I'm saying.
I'm the one that brought it up on the video. What are you
so
talking
rude.
about, Ross?
Rude.
What are you talking about,
Rude.
Ross?
Okay.
Right.
So I gotta pull up the lyrics here.
Thank you guys so much for choosing a live version. Because I know there's going to be, why didn't you do the live version? Why didn't you do the other version? It's because the Alliance wanted the live version. I don't know what to tell you.
They get what they want.
Maybe the Alliance did the live version, though, because they know that
That's what you like.
we enjoy the live version. But it's, don't you miss going to shows, man? Come on, bro.
I know.
Terrible.
Okay.
Next year, inshallah.
Oh, this part made me laugh. My words lead and I follow. Just reminding me of like, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, why did I just say that? Well, I'm gonna go with it now.
Really? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yep.
You do that?
Mostly with the kids.
Like, give me an example. Like, what happened? This is very interesting. This is very curious to me. So, what happens? What are you doing?
Sometimes I'll be like, I don't know. It can be something ridiculous. I can't think of an actual example, but it could be something as ridiculous as me saying, okay, like nobody can eat any of that cereal until, and then it might be something like really ridiculous, like until, I don't know, I can't think of an example. And then I think to myself, why did I just make such a ridiculous thing out of that? But then they're like, really? Like what? And then they start with all their like little attitudes, and then that just makes me, well, I already said it. So no, nobody's eating the cereal until you guys.
Looks to me to be a very interesting relationship song. I'm not sure. Compelled to speak when not to speak.
Song?
My words leader. I must talk or else I'm weak.
Yeah.
Like people. That's a hack that I figured out very, very early. Like. People say something and then like you have to respond, but you really don't.
You don't.
You don't have to respond.
You've got 100 unopened messages on your phone.
Yeah, you don't have to respond. You know, but like people set this thing up to where you're weak. I'm going to say this, and if you don't say something back, that means you're weak or whatever. It's like, no, it just means I'm not playing your game. I'm not gonna be part of your silly game.
To me, I don't feel weak if I don't say something back. It's just I like to complete things. Everything has to be completed, and so when there's like a message and it's either unopened or it hasn't been responded to, it like bugs me.
Well, it's complete for me when I'm done talking to the person.
Yes, that's a very convenient skill to have.
The conversation's done.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like that you realized early on in life that you needed that skill before.
I think everybody needs that skill. Like people,
Yeah,
people. There's all these social games that get played, especially in the social media context, where it's like people don't realize, like, you don't have to do that. Like, somebody says some crazy you don't have to respond on Facebook. You don't need to do that. We were like talking to somebody yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't bring this phone back because I didn't want them to think." I'm like, "Who freaking cares? Like, who cares?" But there's all these little social games that get played in these traps that people set. They're like, "Oh, I want to say this," and then they're gonna have to respond because yada yada yada. It's like, no, you don't. And I am confused as to why people keep falling for that stuff. Like, I don't understand it. But like, explain it to me. Like, why do you have to respond?
I told you why. It bugs me if I don't. But
Why?
it's the same as, you know, but I feel like that goes into like if the bed is made but there's like one corner that's pushed up, that bugs me. So I feel like
that makes sense to me though, because like, you know, the thing can get pulled out and you end up sleeping on the mattress.
No, that's not what it is. It's that I'm saying like the comforter is over it,
you just
and
don't
one
like
side
you don't like the asymmetry.
Right, I want it symmetrical. So let's make it symmetrical. But with my art, I don't want my art symmetrical. I want my art asymmetrical.
Right.
But in other stuff,
I can tell.
no.
That's why you're always off rhythm.
Or if I draw something, or when I write poetry, it's all like some of it will rhyme, and then some of it you're like, what happened? Why?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I go back and I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have made that all rhyme, but whatever. But yeah, with, you know, responding back to people, I want to complete the thing. But I have found as I age that sometimes in an effort to complete the thing and to kind of bring everybody on the same page, it literally just keeps getting worse. And I don't know if it's like that in everybody's situation or if I just kind of bring it out of people, but it's like, and it's the most frustrating feeling when you're trying to actually like bring some peace to a situation and it literally keeps getting worse. I'm like, what is happening? Is this person intentionally misunderstanding what I'm saying? What's going on here? I don't even...
Well, people come to those talks with agendas and things like that. I read very quickly when somebody's got an agenda and it's not whatever. So I say what I have to say, and I want to say what they have to say, and that's it. Let no one know my shell's hollow. So he's saying this because he's trying to project a certain
energy and person
version of himself to people. You know what I mean? So it's like. To me, it seems like the person is insecure within themselves, and they don't want other people to know where that weakness is. So they have to respond so they don't appear weak, because in reality, you know, if you're standing on something and it's hollow inside, it's weak. False world created. I just watch it come to life. Your faith, my weapon, and your trust by my side. I think this is the other person, because I think there's some betrayal happening here. See right there, fooled by my own betrayal. And so maybe he's talking to himself, like maybe in the third person. Maybe he's like, you know what I'm saying? False world created, I just watch it come to life. Your faith is my weapon and your trust by my side. And then later on it talks about, you know, fooled by my own betrayal. So maybe he's talking about like...
I'm feeding on denial. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, like... That's the thing, like, with denial.
Yeah, but it's weird because he says nothing's sacred and no one's safe. I'm feeding on denial, getting careless, soon bound to fail, fooled by my own betrayal.
Yeah.
That's when you, like, lie to yourself?
Well, yeah, like, people... And that's why I always say, like, you know, was in that conversation with, you know, that atheist chat group thingamajiggy. I forgot what the name is. What's the name of that? Empathetic Atheist. Good show. Check it out on YouTube. Where, you know, I was talking about original sin. I said that somebody said, how could that be positive? And I said, anytime you can look at reality of yourself, it's positive. So like, I grew up with a lot of denial, like, and especially my older brother, in my mind, made certain decisions at the time I couldn't understand. Where like, to me, it was like, yo, like, this just happened, why are we acting like this didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, now I understand what he was doing, because we were not in a situation in our family dynamic to where certain people could handle the truth. So he made that decision. Like, he wasn't actually, he sold it really well, but he wasn't like doing it because he
didn't
really
believe in
believed
himself.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with him. It was just he was like, in his mind, like, this was the best way to maintain some sort of stability and stasis in our family, because our household was crazy. And at the time, I was like, oh, you're soft, you're just, you know, enabling this person, blah, blah, blah. To this moment, I don't really know if it was the right or wrong thing to do. But it made me, especially as a middle child, though, it made me, like, now I've got a premium on self-realization and knowing myself and all the rest of it, and being as brutally honest with myself as possible, and being brutally honest about what I think about people as possible. Because I had that experience where it was just this constant, in my mind, enabling of horrible behavior through denial as a mechanism to keep the peace. So I swung, extreme personality, I swung the other way and was like, I'm gonna be as raw as possible with myself as to who I am as a person, and then, you know, other people, whatever. And that's one of the reasons why people's, you know, opinion of me really doesn't matter, because I'm much harsher on myself than anybody could be, because nobody, like, you know, about 30% of the people that you see. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're projecting to you X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, like, somebody said to me, oh, you know, there's a criticism of me, like, you only put out certain amounts of yourself to people, you hide other things from people, and blah, 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 and, you know, and I'm like, yeah, everybody does that. The only difference the only difference is I'm very self-conscious about what I do, and I'm very conscious about what I let out and what I don't. But that, you know, you can't blame me for that. Everybody does that. But, yeah, like, you that whole situation, the denial thing is like one of my most, I have the least tolerance for denial. Like, it gets me so angry, especially in family systems. But again, that was because, and then I think to myself, like, I didn't do that in the other situation. Like, and I'm talking about my immediate situation before you. Like, I don't think we ever did the denial thing. Like, if something happened and the kid said X and Y, Z thing happened, like, I never said that didn't happen. But I would keep things from them. So, like, if they didn't see something and I could hide what the other person was doing from the kids, I would. But, like, if something happened or the person did something, I would never deny that it happened. Because of the way I grew up. And I don't know, maybe if I didn't grow up that way, maybe I would have done that. Like, I always think to myself that, like, if I wouldn't have grown up that way and seen these things that I hate so much, would I have ended up doing it?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a question obviously you can never answer, because that's all speculative. But it is it's a I don't know if it's a confusing thing, but it's a conundrum that I run into a lot when I think about, like, my past and my family and the family system and how my brother was. And I know, I'll say this, if my brother would have adopted my philosophy, our upbringing would have been exponentially more miserable. It would have been exponentially more miserable if he didn't engage in that type of denial and all the rest of it. But at the time, I didn't really, you know, because, you know, my brother was, you know, he was 15, 16, 17, 18, like, having to be the adhesive for our entire family. And so, like, he's making very adult decisions as a kid himself. Like, it was just unbelievable. So, you know, I judged him a lot, you know, growing up, but at the same time, it's like, things probably would have been a whole lot worse if he wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
And it's true, like, the whole false world was created, you know, like, it was just like, especially when we were out in public, it was just this whole, like, just especially like when we'd have these phases, you know, when we'd go to church. Oh my God, like the whole thing was just like, and I was just like, man, all right.
I couldn't stand Sundays at my parents' house. They were friggin' the worst. I didn't have an upbringing like you, but Sunday was literally the worst day of the week. It was stressful in the morning because everybody was trying to get ready, and there was always some big fight on the trip to church. And then we'd get into church, and everybody'd have their faces on because we were the family. And then we would leave, and literally every Sunday this would happen until I finally got wise to the situation. My dad would come home, and my dad would clean out the refrigerator. And when he'd clean out the refrigerator, he would find out all the food that nobody ate during the week, and it rotted. The stuff that should have been eaten before it rotted. And he would flip out because of the rotted food in the fridge, because he's working his ass off to supply for the family, and we don't even have the decency to just use the stuff before it rots. His mother used to keep everything organized. The stuff that needed to be eaten was on the top shelf, and everybody would just participate. And if corn on the cob was what you had last night, then corn on the cob would be in the stew the next night. You know what I mean? Like, it just would get used, and that was the system. So he would get frustrated with that. Then I don't know why he would do this to himself or us, but he would go check our rooms to see if our rooms were clean. And my room was never clean. And so then he'd flip out on me about my room. And there was all this yelling, all this chaos, and then he'd end up going to take a nap in the chair. And Sundays just made me sick. I hated them. They were stressful and they were boring. But when we were at church, we were in our nice clothes, smiling, happy family. I finally got wise to it, and Saturday night I would throw all that stuff away. And I'm like, is this really gonna work? It did. He'd go in the fridge, he'd check it out, wasn't too bad. He wouldn't get stressed out, but it was the same thing. Tomato, stuff was still getting thrown away. And then I'd throw my stuff behind the bureau. So
you are a horrible person.
Let's spread out the fakeness. You know what I mean? So we can have a little bit less stress.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance to everything. I think that, like, my brutal honesty at times, like, is I get misinterpreted a lot, and I don't go out of my way to reinterpret the things that I get misinterpreted of. I think that's probably a weakness. Like, I'll be like, okay, this person's completely misinterpreting what I'm saying, and I don't go and correct it.
Yeah, why? Why don't you?
I that's probably a weakness. I don't care. And I think that there are times when, like, not caring is important, and it's good for your own well-being. But I also think, like, you ought to care about the people around you. And I do care about the people around me if they're in my particular circle. But if I said something reckless and Ian was like, yo, blah, 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 I would take time with Ian. I'd be like, oh, this is... But... You know, like, if you're not in that, then I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like that. Yeah, I don't know. But so I'm saying.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have the energy.
I think that's probably what it is. A lot of times, it's like I don't have the energy to. I'm just so used to. Yeah. I probably do have the energy, but I don't want to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear you say I don't have the energy. For me, I literally feel like...
Yeah, like I have the energy, but I don't have the motivation, I think, is the problem. Because it says, like, are you aching for vengeance?
Yeah, I was just going to bring that one up.
Like, to me, like, when I was younger, like, I had to even every score on the planet. Especially my little brother, because I felt like he got away with murder, and, you know, like, he was always protected or whatever, and... Like, so I always felt like I had to find some way to exact my vengeance, you know, which is, you know, Dorian.
Yeah.
And then I got to high school, and then I started figuring out that, okay, if I get my vengeance, then they're going to get their vengeance, and we're never going to stop with these people. So then it became like, unless nobody's touching unless people aren't touching me, I don't care. But if, you know, if people get physical with you, then obviously... If you don't take vengeance in that context, then you're actually in more danger than if you did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, like, somebody says something reckless about you, whatever, I would tell everybody, man, just, who cares? Are they gonna touch you? No? Okay. You're gonna bleed? Somebody said something crazy about you? Okay. It was more like a survival mechanism. And then I think I probably just took that, to my entire life. Like, if you're not touching me, like, if you're gonna touch me and you're not touching her, then, like, okay, fine. But I feel like vengeance is, like, really a weakness for a lot of people. I think vengeance the desire for vengeance makes you a really weak person, because then you just start thinking about, you become obsessive about that person. And it's like,
oh my God.
There was this meme one time, and it was like, don't get even, just be happy. And like, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't, half these people, I just forgotten that they've existed. I mean, thank God for Facebook. Oh, that person exists. That's true. Like, and probably that has to do with moving around all the time and like having, very intense relationships with people, and then boom, you're in a different state the next day. So, like,
sometimes I don't know if the reason why I don't think about those people is because I'm doing more of my denial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I just want to be happy. So I'm like, I'm just gonna, I got so many things to be happy about.
It is funny how there are some people that you just shouldn't think about because they literally they're not good for your mental well-being.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You go and be great now.
Yeah, you go and be great.
Go and be great.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't. I didn't even remember you were on the planet. Okay. Yeah, I think people that ache for vengeance. I think that's like the epitome of weakness. You know what I'm saying? Because you sit there and obsess about people. It's just like there's so many things in life to be happy about. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And in any conflict, there are very rare occasions where you're 100% right and they're 100% wrong. So it's like, who cares? Like, you had some. Let God figure it out. Like, just go on with your life. Yeah, I like the song. I like the live version of it. So the live piece of it is gonna get it like 0.5 percentage points. So this is a 9.7 for me.
It was a 9.8 for me.
There you go. Good song. Shout out to the call. Being out.
Sorry out.
Gone.